Hello, wherever you're tuning in from, this is the Investors Corner, where we explore hidden treasures with me, Tech Stephen. In this edition today, we are glad to be joined by Mr. Rombek Esaya, the Executive Director of Global AIM South Sudan, a local NGO, if I may say, which has the motto of Partner for Relief and Community Development. Before we go and talk about the Global AIM South Sudan, or GAS for that matter, just to let our viewers know a little bit about the vision, and maybe you'll tell us about the content and details of what this institution does. According to what we have here is that your vision is to empower and to transform a society for an enhanced livelihood and resilience, with a mission statement of striving to support society's livelihood, strengthening their resilience through transformative programs of agriculture, education, wash, protection, health, emergency preparedness through training, and others. Global AIM South Sudan. When did it begin? And what exactly do you aim to achieve?
Well, thank you very much, Tech Stephen. As you have rightly put, I'm Rombek Esaya Kolorinda, founder and executive director of Global AIM South Sudan. Initially, Global AIM was called YASO, which stands for Youth Anti-AIDS Services Organization. Founded way back in 2010. We started implementing youth activity purely. However, as the plight of the people became so much needing, we had advice from our donors and well-wishers to probably contextualize the whole South Sudan instead of focusing on youth. As such, it gave birth to the name Global AIM South Sudan. Well, as I had said, it was founded way back in 2010. And if I'm not mistaken, it is one of the oldest national organizations in this country. It was founded under the vision that we were meant to empower communities for improved livelihood and resilience. Of course, the backbone of this organization was embedded in how I suffered in the refugee camp early in the 90s and how we were supported. So I wanted to reciprocate the same activities that the UN was doing to the South Sudanese over there, so that I also help the vulnerable South Sudanese whom, when I returned from the diaspora, I saw them suffering. That gave birth to the promotion of the organization.
So it appears you are the founder as well of this organization.
Exactly.
From 2010 to now, this is roughly about 12 years. And with the initial standpoint that you guys had, that is anti-AIDS. What exactly did you mean by anti-AIDS?
So, when I came here, the HIV and AIDS prevalence in South Sudan was high. So the first one was to tackle young men and women vulnerability that is being posed by the disease called AIDS. So it is youth anti-AIDS. So we are working against the HIV AIDS.
Then now you've changed the name, moving on from the preventive measures against AIDS that were initially the approach, to now the Global AIM South Sudan, which, as you mentioned earlier, tackles a number of things, including agriculture and health and so many other things. In terms of when you picked the new approach that you have picked and now, how do you see the progress, and what are the shortcomings that you've seen so far in implementing this progress?
Well, we have not actually abandoned the cause to fight the AIDS, but we have instead embedded it in the programs, as to why we currently implement transformative programs in WASH, health, agriculture, education, and protection, with the AIDS being embedded in the health programs. That means we are more now inclusive than when we are focusing only on a specific thematic area. And the reason is because South Sudanese were suffering a lot in terms of food security and livelihood, so to mention, in terms of access to education, in terms of access to quality water for drinking, and in terms of protection as well. So it was in tandem upon the organization now to get a focus name that can really bring all these focuses in, with HIV and AIDS as embedded in all the programs. Well, from 2012, when we changed the name, you find that our intervention has reached even to those who are underserved, because the donors were now able to understand clearly what we are up to. In terms of livelihood, for instance, when we go to the communities and we embed issues to do with protection and the HIV and AIDS component, of course, it's the same community that contracted the disease, and it's the same community that we want to support their livelihoods in terms of agriculture, in terms of best agronomic practices. As such, it has already served the purpose because we have to hit, many birds with one stone, and I think it suits best. Yeah.
And since you've changed so far, as you mentioned in your mission statement here, you've now focused your attention on agriculture, education, wash, protection, health, emergency preparedness. These are a wide range of activities.
Exactly.
How are the level of priorities that you have put in place so that we can tackle each at a given time?
Our level of priority now depends on the demands of the donors. Just for instance, on food security and livelihood, the priority here is to bring out the best agronomic practices of the farmers, support them with life support, seeds, tools, and that kind of stuff, vis-a-vis the training, the soft skills, so that they're able to plant their produces, not the traditional way. So prioritizing agriculture vis-a-vis bringing the issue of HIV and AIDS component is very important. We do not only prioritize agriculture, but we also prioritize water, because when you cultivate, definitely you need water, clean water for drinking in this regard. When you cultivate, you also need the issue to do with protection. So it becomes like a cycle. So we do not really prioritize, we do not give much attention to the other one, because when we talk about protection of women, for instance, when they go to have access to their cultivable land, that becomes also key. But of course, without prejudice to the fact that it is the agriculture component that has brought the protection component in. That is what. Yeah.
If you may also shed light about the area of operation of the scope at which GAS, the NGO that you represent, operates within the county of Juba or within the state or across the country. How is the level of scope?
Well, we had envisioned to work in all the 10 states of South Sudan. However, given the limitation in funding, currently we operate in northern Baragazal. We currently have offices also in eastern Equatoria, and we have the head office here with operations in Lanya. So it's so to say that we have operations in Awil South and Awil East. We have operations in Nimule. We have operations in Magwi. We have operations in Torit. And in central Equatoria, we have operations in Lanya. In Lanya, we are implementing agriculture program, which is cross-cutting. Embedded into it is the issue of WASH in school particularly. Yeah.
And in terms of these activities that you are doing, I'm sure it also somehow, somewhere cuts through the job creation and the capacity building. Can you tell us about how you are reaching out to the young people in terms of job provision and capacity building?
Absolutely. The component of education answers that. Currently, we have an ongoing project that started last year. It's called Youth Resilience South Sudan, with support from Cross Culture Project Association, a Danish-based institution. What we do currently, we don't actually offer soft jobs, but we offer trainings. We offer training in the sense that we build their life skills as such, like things to do with tailoring, things to do with carpentry, things to do with hairdressing, things to do with carpentry. And that has been the focus. Why? Because we intend to do that because there is a word that says you better teach the person how to fish than giving the person the fish. That is not just a mere word. So we took that approach so that we're able to inculcate the knowledge to the young people. Just to share a little bit of success story. When we graduated the first batch this year, out of 15, 10 of them already got their own jobs. And within this week, we are going to take the startup capital or the startup kits, like the tailoring machines to them so that they establish themselves. That is one goodness with this project, because we train them and give them the tools so that they establish their own businesses. Yeah.
And you are an institution that is as older than South Sudan.
Absolutely.
Because you started in 2010. Yeah. 12 years is a long time. Since the establishment of GAS, or the previous name that you had up to now, what are the milestones or the achievement that you can point that these are the things that you can point that this is how far we came, or these are the landmark activities that we've put in place as a result of our operations?
Absolutely. Since 2010, in Nimule alone, we have a portfolio of over 120 youths. Out of 120 youths that we first train, 60 of them have stable businesses. That I can confirm. In Nimule town, there are those who have become even trainers. So that is another milestone that I'm always proud of, particularly when I go to Nimule, because that was our first project, which was funded by ICCO, Interchurch Cooperation Organization. Another milestone that I want to focus so much and mention in terms of livelihood strengthening, when you go to Eastern Equatoria, particularly Magui, the farmers there are stable in terms of seeds, because since 2018, we have been strengthening their capacity to produce excess and have seeds for the next planting season, to avoid a situation where every year they have to really run up and down and buy seeds in the market. So that is another milestone. Another milestone is currently we are implementing a project called Food Security and Food Nutrition and Security. That Food Nutrition and Security project is meant to multiply seeds. We are supposed to train the farmers how to produce best quality seeds so that in years to come, South Sudan does not import from outside. And I am very proud to mention that last year we produced over 120 tons of seeds which are stored in Torit. So that is another milestone. Most importantly, that I also want to focus on is the Awil Youth Resilient Project. Like I've said, from 16, because it was a pilot project, from 15 trainees, 10 already have their businesses, and we are delivering the machines to them. So give it a period of 6-8 months that we are going to train more. How do you think it's going to be? That means everyone is going to be self-reliant, particularly the youth.
Good. Hold that thought. We'll go for a short break.
Thank you.
We'll come back to discuss
so
more.
much.
We are going for a short break. The Investors Corner will be back shortly. Hello and welcome back. This is the Investors Corner, where we explore hidden treasures with me, Stephen. And as I said before the break, I am joined by Mr. Rombek Isaiah, the Executive Director for Global Aim South Sudan, a local NGO that is operating based here in Juba. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Before the break, you were telling me about the achievements and the milestones that GAS have made so far since the establishment up to now. And it is from that very point that I would like to pick it up and ask you about relating that achievement and milestone with the corporate social responsibilities that the NGO has to the community that you serve.
Well, thank you. Our corporate social responsibility is purely one, humanitarian. We are non-profit. So already our corporate social responsibility is being seen from the activities that we do to the communities. I did mention many of the achievements, including construction of public latrines in marketplaces and in the villages and in schools. So we want to give back to the community because our focus is to be a partner in community development. We want to develop the community so that tomorrow or next tomorrow they stand alone. Like for instance, if we give latrine slabs, that will go a long way, like 3 to 4 years, it will never break, other than using the traditional kind of thing. So that's how we give back to the community. Another aspect is like for those who are not the direct beneficiaries, what do? We also have trainings, side training. For instance, we co-op committees within the communities who are supposed to take it from there for the sustainability of the program. Because these are donor-funded programs that anytime money can go down. So what do we do after that? So we train local communities like the WASH officers so that they're able to come and repair, for instance, the water points for sustainable, water production within the community. So that's what we give back to them, besides what directly goes to the beneficiaries.
And again, about the time that you spent in your service, 12 years, a long time, as I said. Many organizations that started during your time or even a few years after you, most of them might have gone out of business, but you guys are still in here. Let's talk about the future of GAS. What do you intend to do with the coming years, let's say both short term and long term? what do we expect to see that you still want to implement that you have not yet touched?
Well, thank you very much. Of course, you're right. Many organizations have really phased out because of funding challenges. But again, I must say we are honored because we have a strong team that does robust lobby, both outside Africa and within Africa, and even in the country. On my recent visit to the U.S., I actually came few days ago, and I was able to make a lot of connections. And now the notion is that we are trying to look at something bigger than this, because it's not about the rudimentary method of doing agricultural kind of approach. What are we into? We are talking about climate change now. So it is my hope that we need now to package our approaches in the future as the world is being fought with issues of climate change. So we are going to venture into something so much sustainable, and we are going to use the Nexus approach. We are moving out from humanitarian. Currently, we are trying to transition to the developmental activities.
And you mentioned something very important about the reason as to why most, your company is staying up to now because of the reliable partners and funding agents. Can you tell us about the partners that you have and the donors that make sure that the organization continues to run such projects?
Thank you. Locally, we are also having partnership with our national organizations, but I want to so much talk about our external donors. We have the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization that has been supporting us since 2018, both in emergencies and now the resilience program that is going on in Eastern Equatoria. We have Cross Culture, that is CCPA. We are getting funds through the Danish Civil Society for the youth resilience. We initially have ICCO, that's Interchurch Cooperation Organization, that has been with us since 2010 until when they merged with the Code 8. And Code 8 also has supported us with the agribusiness project that ran for 5 years from 2017 up to it's almost coming to an end. So those has been our strong partners. We are trying also to have internal kind of funding with contributions from the board of directors, and that has been so much key because some of my board members are really so much robust in doing fundraising and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that is the strategy of financing the organization.
Good. And as we edge closer to the end of the program, I'm sure in every institutions there are challenges here.
Absolutely.
Both minor and major. Can you tell us about the main challenges that are facing the institution and how you're working to address these challenges?
Well, the main challenge is the competing priorities. Like right now, the world is facing a lot of problems in terms of funding because there are a lot of nations that also desire the funds from the same donor. So that has been a big problem. However, of course, South Sudan also need the funds. Our communities need the fund, given the situation that we are currently in the communities. That is the major problem. Somehow, the lighter problem has been the COVID-19 thing, though we are trying to break through. And our approach was that we were able to embed the COVID-19 preventive measures into the running projects. Why? Because we could not really get more funds to address that particular issue. So that was how we remedied it. Right now, we are working towards establishing, a stable kind of fund for the organization, and we are in discussion with the board. One idea I promoted to them is, why can't we open big agricultural lands, particularly in the cultivable areas? And that is now in discussion with small funding from other well-wishers, which I've gotten contact with. We are going to move into that. We are also trying to look into a situation where we go to the ministry and the local government to support some of these activities so that when we phase out, what is the future for the people that we have not yet finished that project? So those ones are the strategies that currently we are trying to put forward.
And your level of cooperation with government institutions, especially the line ministries that interconnect somehow here and there with the activities of your NGO gas. And with that also, if you may connect it with your takeaway point as we conclude the program.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very key because the government is the regulatory body. The line ministries, starting actually from the Relief and Rehabilitation Commission that supersedes the activities of the NGOs, both international and national. You know very well they are licensing the operations. The line ministries like the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry that give policies The line ministries like Ministry of Health that we have a memorandum of understanding with to ensure that what we give to the community is to the standard of the country. Minister of Agriculture, the same thing, because we benefit from those line ministries through getting the tailor-made package of trainings, because we do not want to develop our own curriculum for training, for instance, the farmers. We want to use the national curriculum. Same thing together with the education, because there is the alternative learning program in the education ministries, both in the states and in the national government. So we align ourselves so much to that. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rombek Esai, the Executive Director of Global AIM South Sudan, or GAS for short, for giving us your time and appearing on the Investors Corner. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I also appreciate you for taking your time to come and hear the story of Global M and what we have been doing to our communities.
Thank you. And this brings us to the end of this episode of today of the Investors Corner, where we explore hidden treasures. I've been your host, Stephen. Until we meet again, goodbye.